Now, we want to get a bit more reaction to our interview with the head of Ofcom now. I spoke to their chief executive, Dame Melanie Dawes, who told me that they will fine social media companies and ultimately close down their UK operations if they don't comply with new legal safeguards coming in from next spring. Some of the things that Melanie Dawes said to me is that they were on track and that the public would see progress early next year. She also told me it's not up to parents, it is up to the tech and social media companies to make sure children are safe online. Well, let's speak to Ellen Room, whose 14-year-old son, Jules, died in April 2022. Ellen, good morning.
Morning.
You're part of the Bereaved Parents Online Safety Group campaigning for change in this area.
Yeah.
It is your belief that exposure to certain material online contributed to your son's death?
I can't prove that yet. There was nothing offline as to why my son ended his life. And so I have always said I want to know about his online actions. And I don't have the right as a parent to see his information of what he was looking at online, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. Was the coroner able to access that information?
The police looked at some of his social media accounts. I mean, there's on his coroner's report. There's a half a page about his social media, and the coroner never demanded that information from social media. So I'm having to go to the High Court to request that his inquest is redone, so that the coroner has the power to demand the information from the social media companies.
Without any details, why are you so concerned, more generally, I suppose, about the way that social media companies have been able to interact with children in recent years?
I think as a parent, I was probably quite naive until my child, died. I think speaking to other parents as well that haven't been in my situation, we hand over a phone to these children who are then walking around with this internet in their pocket. And I didn't actually realise how damaging social media was. And the things I now know about the strangers that they can talk to online, simple games that they're playing, which you think are quite safe. Well, you're actually inviting complete strangers into their bedroom, which you wouldn't do in real life. And the more I've learned about it, the more that I'm desperately trying to share my information with other parents about how dangerous it is. And Ofcom need to step up and protect them, because I don't think a lot of parents realise quite how dangerous the social media companies and games that their children are playing are for their children.
So we spoke to Dame Melanie Dawes at length. In fact, I spoke to her for about half an hour. We played 6 minutes of that interview much earlier on in the programme, which anyone could go back to listen to on BBC Sounds. And just to summarise what she said to me, as I said, she claims that Ofcom are on track to enforce this law. She said next spring you will start seeing that enforcement happening. She says that they have done their work at record speed and change will start to happen. You will start to notice a difference early next year. Do you have faith that that is the case?
No. Being a bit blunt, sorry. I don't have faith. And what are they doing then? What changes are happening? Did she tell you that?
Well, she said that already going through the process, there was a stage where the legislation had to go through Parliament, then it became law. Then there was this process whereby the information, I suppose, was basically given out to the social media and tech companies, and they were told that they needed to sharpen up their practices and to prepare for enforcement. And that means completing a risk assessment and actively identifying areas where children may be vulnerable and showing how they are going to then respond to that. Now, I said to her, sounds like a bit of a paper exercise, and she was absolutely adamant that it wasn't, and that already social media companies were responding. I suppose we can talk about, for example, Meta, Instagram, introducing teen accounts and so on. And then she said, if then, come the new year, they are not doing that, they are not proving that under 18s are being protected from harmful content, action will be taken. That's what she told me.
I have a real issue with this teens account thing, because it's all very well that Instagram are looking like they're making changes. We're going to protect these children. We're doing X, Y, Z. Well, the majority of children have all lied about their age to get on the platform anyway. And I just think it's all very well saying these teens account, but a lot of the children have not got their right age. So if they're claiming they're over 20, well, it's not going to do anything to protect them.
Well, so what she would say is that they must demonstrate that age verification is robust, for example, by using biometric age checks.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. I think absolutely they need to do that and check what age these children are on their platform as, because then you can look at protecting them. But at the moment, that doesn't seem to be happening. So you've got children being able to see all sorts of different things online, and social media companies are waiting to make changes. And they're sort of waiting to see what Ofcom are going to do, and don't actually look like they're removing harmful images and things like that. It's just the social media companies don't seem to have a duty of care. They just don't seem to care about what our children are seeing.
We won't really know, will we, until the new year, which is when Ofcom says all this will start happening. And she reiterated that fines of up to 10% of global revenue could be levied. Now, whether that actually happens is another question.
I'd be delighted if that starts happening. But and Ofcom, if they're going to start making changes, well, great, let's do it. Let's start actually protecting our children. And hopefully fines will make a difference. But these companies are so rich. Are they actually bothered about 10%? I don't know.
One area that I did also ask her about, but she was clear that this wasn't within the scope of Ofcom under the current law that's been introduced under the Online Safety Act. But she spoke about how important it was to have a conversation about age gates, raising the age at which children should be able to start using social media, for example, time spent on phones, time limits, algorithms used to keep children scrolling, what the impact that might be long term on physical and brain development. She said all important conversations, but this is not for her or for Ofcom to be dealing with right now. Do you think they need to be doing that as well?
Well, who is dealing with it then? If Ofcom are not and the government's not, who is dealing with it?
Well, the question, I suppose, is for the government then, isn't it? Because it's not within the current law, but should the law be extended?
I absolutely think if social media companies can't make it safe for our children, then we should ban social media. We've got children seeing, pornographic things at a younger age. They shouldn't be able to see that. And I just think if they can't make it safe, then it has to be banned. And maybe that does need to come from the government. But if social media can make it safe for children, great, then give it back. But I very much doubt they can, or they don't want to. And until that time, get rid of it. And if that means protecting the children by keeping them off it, then great, get them off it.
Do you and the other bereaved families who've been through this utter heartbreak, do you feel like you are beginning to make progress in this area with your campaign?
No, in fact, we were talking this week. It's frustrating. The online safety bill's been brought out, but nothing else has happened. So we're a year down the line, and it's a bit like, well, come on, let's make some changes. Actually, get some things moving. And all of us, the group, are very frustrated that nothing seems to have happened. So I do hope Ofcom do start making changes, and not, as you say, just a paper exercise.
Thank you very much, Ellen, for talking to us. And I understand that for you, this is an ongoing legal battle as well. So we will follow that with interest. All the very best.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Ellen Room, whose 14-year-old son, Jules, took his life a couple of years ago. And of course, as ever, when we talk about things like suicide, we should point out that there are all kinds of organisations and support networks that can offer advice around that issue if you're affected by it in any way. And you can find all of those on the BBC Action Line website, which is bbc.co.uk/action line. 8:52.